Okay, welcome back. Part two of two. We are going to look at Nightwing, just go through it quickly as I normally do and chat about some stuff that happens, and then spend the bulk of our time on Batgirls number two. And I will say that Barbara doesn't appear in Batman 119 or Urban Legends. But if you are a fan of Maps Mizuguchi, if you remember her from Gotham Academy, there's an amazing backup of her in Batman 119. And I think it's maybe going to be a six-part story or so. So I would just suggest reading that. But yeah, let's talk about Nightwing 88. So this is Get Grayson Act 2, writer Tom Taylor, artist Bruno Redondo, and colorist Adriano Lucas. The synopsis from the publisher: the blue stripes are back. Nightwing gets an updated suit starting this issue. Meanwhile, after the distressing events of rescuing Haley, aka Bitewing, sorry, from getting dog-napped by bad guys, Nightwing discovers there are way more hits on Dick Grayson than he realized, thanks to going public about his fortune, and he needs to find a clever way to beat Dick Grayson and Nightwing at the same time. Meanwhile, Heartless tries to buy power away from Blockbuster in order to take control of Bloodhaven, and both of these big bads have Nightwing in their crosshairs. So remember, I don't do a review of this, but it's just an amazing book. It's probably one of my I mean, I would say it's my favorite. Batgirls, I think that sounds like a betrayal. So I would say now, Batgirls is tied with it, but it's certainly something that has given me hope and a renewed faith in DC Comics. But what before I even start this, what has your experience been of this current era, this Tom Taylor era, I guess I'll say, of Nightwing?
I hadn't been reading Nightwing. Heartless, by the way, is the guy with the weird mask toward the end of the issue.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just trying to remember who that was. I read Nightwing. Well, I started reading comics with Robin and Nightwing. So I read with New Titans 71. So I followed, and I read back issues. So I followed the evolution of Dick Grayson all the way through. I want to say like Nightwing 100 was probably my last issue of that series. And I, in here and there through the end of the series, and Marv Wolfman has been writing it at one point. Jane Jurgens was doing a run on it. I like, again, Infinite Crisis came around. I got right back into it for a little while. I read the New 52 for a handful of issues, but it was not terrible. I was just bored with it. So I dipped out of that. And then I hadn't read anything about Nightwing until I saw the solicit for this right around the Future State event they did, because I hadn't been paying attention to anything in DC continuity. I had no idea what all this metal and all this stuff was, but I saw the artwork on this.
Yeah.
And I saw some people on Twitter tweeting out like panels and pictures and stuff. And 78 hadn't come out. Issue 78, I think, is when the run started. It didn't come out yet. And I was like, I should check this out. So I put it on my pull list, and I'm really glad I did. This is such a great run of this character. And it's serious, and it's the closest. It reminds me a lot of that first Chuck Dixon, Scott McDaniel run from that really, really great run they had at the beginning of that title. I mean, it's serious, but it's a lot of fun, and it's not overly grim dark, and it's not, the art is gorgeous, and it really fits the character. And I like the characterization and everything. It's just it's one of like, am I buying any? Oh, I'm buying a couple of other DC comics, but it's like my favorite of the like 3 or 4 DC titles I'm buying right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. So yeah, and this is a great issue because out of nowhere, Titans appear.
I know, Titans appear. Yeah, I'll get to that for sure. This, so in the beginning, of course, they're talking about there's some hits on Dick Grayson, and then you also see Barbara and she's talking to somebody, which I assume by the end that it's probably Wally. She seems to be in communication with
Yeah,
Wally frequently. Yeah.
I think it's Wally. Um, that panel that you had with Blockbuster, I gotta go back. I don't remember. You gotta go. Uh, I gotta find it. That guy and the woman that they send to put the hit on him.
Yeah.
I want to say they're a Chuck Dixon creation.
Okay.
They first appear in the mid to late 90s in, I want to say, his Detective Comics run. And I was like, and when I saw her, I was like, wait, are these two? They're like this pair of assassins who are in love, and it's kind of like a pumpkin and honey bunny thing. And it was a comical little bit, and they took on Batman at one point. I think it was a storyline where also like Deathstroke was involved, like right after. So it was like 96, 97, right after Deathstroke's series had been canceled. First series had been canceled. So it was pretty cool that they're bringing, because this is I don't know when the last, granted, it's been so long since I read Nightwing consistently. They might, or Batman consistently, they might have shown up in other points. But to me, this is a pretty deep cut to bring these two in.
For sure. I would agree. Yeah.
That's pretty cool that they dug those two out of mothballs, just to have this mission. And it makes sense because they're snipers.
Absolutely. This happens to me in real life for some reason, but sometimes the modern stuff that I'm reading really coordinates well with the vintage stuff that I'm reading. And I've noticed in the vintage that Barbara seems to go to Wally a great deal whenever there's some issue, or Dick is going through a hard time, to try to get Wally to talk to him. And so here it like makes sense that Wally is the one to be talking to her here, and then rescue him or catch him and cradle him or piggyback him later on. So I feel like they're probably best friends. I even asked Don, would you say that probably that is his best friend? So
he and Wally have a very good relationship with one another, and they've always been very good friends. It's not the sort of weird adversarial yet friendly relationship he has with Roy. The two of them get along really well, but I think Dick and Wally have more of a friendship. The only other person I could picture being closer than Wally would be Donna.
I would agree. Yeah, and I don't have your Titans history, but from what I've read, that's what I would say.
They both work, and I don't know what the characterization is in this era of, things change, but in my history, it's either Wally and Donna. Really,
yeah, for sure. This is I just love the scenes with Barbara. I mean, of course, objectively or biasedly, I love the shipping, but I just feel like it's done well. I mean, for several years we've just had unnecessary drama between these two, but it's like we finally seem to have hit like a good I don't know, climate of their relationship. It just is like it's working well. They're friends, but also they're lovers, and there's like no unnecessary drama. So I'm just very appreciative of their interactions, and that it's fun. It can also be serious. You can care for him and be worried about him, and vice versa, and it all works out.
This is really cutely drawn too.
Yeah.
She like like the facial expressions are natural, and the little My Hero thing. It's really cute. I like the fact that he's getting the bagels from Tomasi's Deli, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like, I like it when an artist, we talked about Phil Noto and his covers. I like it when an artist in comics has a really good control of characters' faces, and isn't just drawing the same face, or does really good facial expressions on the characters, like Kevin Maguire, for instance, right? Like, like just the facial, and Keith Giffen would do, and George Perez, and you have Phil Noto here. Amanda Connor did some great facial expressions in the thing we had. Like here, there's something very, very natural about the way these Bruno Redondo, Bruno Redondo does the facial expressions of these characters. And
there's Gun Bunny. Yeah. So then, of course, he's at this press conference and he's about to get shot. Oh boy, look who shows up with my nemesis, Starfire. But what's really funny is I love this. I wish that they still used icicle word bubbles, but they don't. But at one point, Starfire says, Oracle, we have a shooter. Is the feed working? Can you see? And the next one is, I can see Starfire.
Now,
Oh,
I am
icicles.
gonna say this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tug at that rug that you're sitting on.
Okay.
The Oracle, Gun Bunny, Starfire, Gunhawk, their Flash on the next page. They're all bold italicized.
They're all italicized?
They're all bold and slightly italicized in terms of the typeface. It's kind of like back in the day in the you'd see, I don't know if you read old Transformers comics from Marvel, but anytime they use a character's name, it would be bold and italics. Like,
oh, interesting.
You know, so they were. It was. So I think it's just a very comic tropey, like, you know, cities. You know, but I'll give it to you. You have
no,
your moment.
I mean, you're right. The evidence does point to that, but seriously, yeah, I can see Starfire. I still wish that she had icicles. I mean, I don't know what their history is in this continuity, but I'm assuming. I also like how incognito Babs looks just with her shades and everything. But then, so we've got the whole Titan crew. Got Wally coming in and rushing, also giving him an option of cradle or piggyback, which I thought was really fun. I mean, neither are that dignified.
Let's go back to the Starfire page. Okay. And I don't know if you can zoom all the way out, but on my if you can, it looks like it might be that's a great page.
Yeah.
Because she turns around, runs, and Donna just grabs the earrings and just I like the way their figures are drawn as well. Redondo does not give Starfire like she's in proportion. So just stuff like that. Like, you notice stuff like that. And I like Donna's costume. This costume, I'm not that big about the collar, but the stars on the side and everything, it looks really, really cool. But this is a really cool.
Yeah, I don't understand kind of the shoulder pads necessarily, but I do like how casually she is leaning against the building, just like this. This is pretty easy for me. Okay. Yep. We do have a piggyback, which is a lot of fun. Mr. Terrific pops up, and then he gets a new suit right there. And I love that little, I don't know, Chibli or kind of anime cartoonish style of Wally saying, and your face has the, now I need to get out of this because I can't read it
as the inbuilt defense of being too pretty for anyone to shoot at.
There you go. Yeah. And they talk about just the fact that the more flexible material and the bulletproof material is vulnerable to stabbing attacks. So they made a point of working around that as well. So he's getting his suit, and now the stripes go all the way down to, I guess, connect to the index, middle, and ring finger. Whereas originally they were just kind of blue flares on the knuckles. So that's kind of the classic where, as they said, the stripes are back. And we've got these people, and I think that's his sister, and the Titans are here. I mean, did you enjoy this, seeing the Titans like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I read a Titans comic.
Yeah, it's been hard for you.
But we've got, I mean, they don't number the pages. The Titans Together page, the homage to New Teen Titans #1. I mean, it's total fan service, but I'm here for it.
He's sipping it up like soup already.
It's total. They're all in the right position, and Gar's even changing. It's it's just great. I mean, that's, like I said, it's total fan service, but I am here for it.
Slurping it up like soup. And then got some Blockbuster, and then Starfire versus Blockbuster. Really I don't know what would happen there. And then Heartless reappears. Oh yeah.
I love the name. I love the line. I have ever, she says, to what, Roland? Like, that's just.
Whew. Yep.
That's why I like Corey. She doesn't screw around. That's why I hated what they did to her at the beginning of the New 52, because it was just like, that's not her. But
Yeah.
Corey, you don't mess with Corey.
And then you have Gunhawk and Heartless there at the end. And I did like when Heartless says, is there someone who will miss you, someone who relies on you? And he says, Bunny, we're everything to each other. And then, well, that was the kiss of death right there. So he's probably lost his heart. So goodbye, Gunhawk. Tom Taylor killed you. And then says next is Superman, which we've seen some really special issues between Superman and Dick. So I can't wait to see what Tom Taylor does with that. But yeah, so we don't need to read that, but just wanted to go through that and talk about Nightwing. And again, highly recommend this particular run. So now we're moving on to our last thing, which is Batgirls number 2.
I went to the comic store last weekend.
And you picked up?
And I picked up a bunch of different stuff, including I hadn't been in a couple of weeks, so there were like 4 Spider-Man comics for my kid.
Ooh,
yeah, and what else? A bunch of indie stuff, including like Undiscovered Country from Image, which is a really good thing. Department of Truth, which is really good. Marvel has just relaunched King Conan. For some reason, I bought like a ton of King Conan back issues at the Baltimore Comic-Con, so I've been like really into King Conan, or Conan the King, depending on what iteration you're looking at. So that was cool, and I found both issue 1 and 2 still on the stand of Batgirl. So I grabbed both 1 and 2.
Okay. Here we go, because the Batgirls demanded it. Issue number 2. One Way or Another. Story Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad. Art George Corona and colors Sarah Stern. Picking up immediately after issue 1, the Saints and Batgirls tussle while Babs updates them on the various members and instructs them to get out of there. Tarsus is the ringleader specializing in torture. Valentine has a Batman-like origin and sees militarized order as the key to the city's redemption. Assisi worked for Star Labs and has stolen tech to outfit the Saints and is often accompanied by an animal bot. And here we have Fido 5. Babs gives props to the Batgirls, while also recognizing the confusion that sharing a name could potentially cause while on comms, and says they'll have a meeting to discuss some code names. The Batgirls do their best in the engagement, but end up listening to Barbara and getting out of there. The Saints allow it and leave to plan for another attack. The Batgirls reconvene at home, and while Steph is pretty down about all the bad things that have been happening lately, Cass suggests that they take it one step at a time and begin with breakfast. At Our Lady of Mercy, Seer, pretending to be Simon Saint, dresses down the Saints for letting the Batgirls go, but they say they won't fail again and are the heralds for Simon Saint's second coming. At the afternoon meeting, Batgirls discuss why the Saints believe Simon Saint is still alive, and Babs deduces that it must be Seer. They talk about all the things they have on their plates to do as heroes in a new place, and Barbara warns them to wear their helmets while riding their scooter. Little does she know that they're not riding their scooters, but they're still cruising in Bondo, which they, of course, stole or recommissioned. I don't know. Last issue. As they patrol the streets, they see a gathering of perps that they beat up previously. In my notes, I spelled beat, B-E-E-T. But anyways, along with some cops building a Wicker Man-esque structure with stolen goods. Back at the warehouse, Barbara catches Dick up on what's been going on in a nice girlfriend-boyfriend sort of conversation, while making earrings when the Batgirls return and update her on what they saw. Steph also continues saying their neighbor is the serial killer, and Babs, for whatever reason, still doesn't listen. Barbara catches up with Cass while making dinner, and Steph does something with her phone and hides it, which I still can't understand what she actually does. Grace O'Halloran continues her story on the impromptu street artist tutor, while also defending the Batgirls and updating readers/audience members on the clock tower and what happened to it. Barbara shows the girls her solution to the comms issue, earrings, but Cass is concerned that she doesn't have pierced ears. Easily remedied. In a scene out of Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, Cass now has pierced ears. Batgirls do a field test on the comms while also doing an errand for Barbara. Steph spots the neighbor with a human head, but they don't do it. They don't go to him. They are distracted by a tussle in the alleyway and a zombie construction worker. The victim, also the owner of the bookstore Babs told Cass to check out, asks the girls to look out for a crock pot that his wife bought and was stolen. And they say they will, and they run after that construction worker. Later, Tudor is revealed with some sort of chemical agent leading the people of the hill to rise against those who would silence the people and to purify Gotham. Is this January 7th, 6th? And the Batgirls, having chased the perp in the alley to the gathering, are about to stop Tudor when Steph falls victim to the zombieism. Next, Tudor versus Batgirl versus Batgirl. Okay, lots of things going on here, just like the first issue. I first want to ask some questions about the cover. Mainly, what do you think about the cover? And what do you think about the fact that this issue, as well as the main cover of issue 1, we kind of leave Barbara out of it to a certain extent. We really focus on Steph and Cass. And we do that again here where Barbara is there. She's a floating head, hashtag Carol knows, but she's on a screen kind of looking down and judging those Batgirls. But what do you think about this cover? What do you think what's the symbolism there? Is there symbolism with Barbara not really being present?
She looks like a worried mother.
Which is what I'm concerned about. I don't want her to be a den mother.
She can be like the den mother to the.
I don't want it to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, did you get a feel of that in the issue? Do you feel like that she's in issue 1 too, just a glorified den mother that they like check in with every now and again?
I don't want to be that negative about it, but right now it seems like they want to focus on Cass and Steph, so she is kind of playing that role.
Okay.
If we didn't know that she was over in Nightwing doing the Oracle thing, I don't even know if she's going to suit up at Batgirl again. I have no idea what they're. If she wasn't seeing action in Nightwing, I'd be like, oh yeah, they kind of resigned her to this mother.
Yeah.
You know, this den mother.
A backup
role,
character.
But she's not Mrs. Garrett, so.
Yeah, and I mean, she's still. I don't know. She's playing a Q almost, a Q and an M at the same time. If we're, if the girls are bonds, so I guess we'll see. I do want her to be more active, but. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Batgirls and Barbara is what we're seeing here. But otherwise, I mean, the covers are fun. I'm enjoying them. I just find it really unusual that we're seeing Barbara, but not seeing Barbara. And of course, below her is the symbol for Seer. So Seer is always present. I did want to at least mention, because I mentioned last time that these saints are based off of real life people. So just briefly who they are. So Tarsus, a bit too vague since it is a city. It could be St. Paul, who was originally Saul, because he was born in Tarsus and he has or is regarded as one of the most important figures of the apostolic age. And we know that he's written, or 14 out of 27 books of the New Testament are attributed to Paul. So that's a big deal right there. We've got Valentine, who's the patron saint of Terni, and that's a city in the southern portion of Umbria in central Italy. The patron saint of epilepsy and beekeepers as well. And let's see here, martyred, of course. And we've got that Valentine's Day, which is based off of this particular person. Assisi, many people know Assisi.
Francis.
Yeah, there are several saints associated with that particular town, but given the animal companion, it is most likely Francis. Italian Catholic friar, deacon, and mystic. He founded the men's order of Friars Minor, the women's order of St. Clare, and the third order of St. Francis in the custody of the Holy Land. Most venerated figure, even Tom knew. See,
well, I grew up around Catholics.
That's true. Yeah.
No, I'm not Catholic, but St. Francis of Assisi is like one of the ones. Him, Thomas Aquinas.
Oh yes.
St. Benedict. Valentine, because Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
There's a few that you just know off the top of your head, or like St. Anthony. Mainly because there's probably a prep school on Long Island.
Sure, named after somebody.
Yeah, so there's St. Joseph's.
He's of course associated with the patronage of animals and the natural environment, which I
Mhm.
appreciate him a great deal. And then Fido 5 could just be a dog name. I feel like could be referencing either Fidelis of Como or Fidelis of Sigmaringen, both of whom were martyred. I think the only saint that
Mhm.
wasn't martyred was Francis, um, though I think he did get the stigmata. So that was distinct too. But anyways, there you go. I just wanted to mention those, that they're based off of real life saints. Okie dokie. Let's see here. Well, I guess I'll just ask you right away. What did you think of this? You read issue 1 in preparation for this, and now, of course,
Yeah.
issue 2. Oh, how are you feeling? I mean, we did demand it. Fans demanded this. You may not have been one of those fans,
Mhm.
but do you feel like so far this is a worthwhile book?
Um, I hope it is for the fans. I honestly, I mean, it had a lot of action in it.
Hmm.
I can see they're still getting some stuff set up. It has a good cliffhanger.
Yep.
I don't know who this Taskmaster Light villain is, Tutor or whatever.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
yeah, it doesn't he look kind of look like Taskmaster? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
um,
Let me see.
uh, but um, I'm hoping that the fans really, really dig it. It's a book that I might check out when it hits the DC Infinite app and not buy the issues off the
Okay.
stands because it was just um I don't I mean like I said it's pretty well done. It's really really busy.
There's a lot going on.
It's really busy.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of go back over, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot that happens. The Like I said, I'm not really in the best position to judge anything because I'm coming in cold.
Sure.
I've never really read much of like um my Stephanie Brown that I know the best is like when she was first introduced 30 years ago.
Mm.
Because I had her for like I actually liked her when she first appeared as a spoiler. I've always liked her as a character. Cass, I remember from when I saw her like in Batman or Robin or Nightwing or whatever. Like, so I've never actually read their individual titles as
Yeah.
Batgirl. Um, I did like the scenes of them in the apartment and everything, but like I said, there was um I I think she's getting like I like Becky Cloonan, and I think she's getting a good dynamic established. Um, I guess so it's just, but like I said, I'm like, do I like personally? I'll wait on the
Yeah.
I'll wait for video, so to speak, on it. But I found it enjoyable for the 2 issues that I read. I'm contemplating buying the rest of this arc to see how it turns out, especially with the cliffhanger at the end. I'll kind of see
Sure.
like what's going on here. I will say the more I look at Babs of this issue, I think she's being drawn a little too old.
Interesting.
Like I know she's older than
Right.
the women, than the other 2 young women. Are they supposed to still be teenagers? How old are they supposed to be?
I've never been given a number, and I
Okay.
couldn't tell because, I'm coming in off of the recent Batman stuff, but
Yeah.
with the detective comics that Tynion had done, I guess that was
Hmm.
Rebirth or whatever. I would
Yeah.
assume that they're like might be late teens, but
Like 18,
I would
19,
say so. Yeah.
like New Teen Titans age.
Yeah.
Babs is Babs
Well,
isn't
remember she
30
was, who knows? Because
because
she
the way
was
she's being
aged
drawn
down.
here,
Yeah.
yeah. So the way she's being drawn for some of the panels here, she looks like she's in her 30s.
Yeah. I feel
And
like maybe
that's why I said
25,
it. She
but
looks
yeah.
like she kind of looks den motherish. She
Yeah.
almost looks like this is going to be a weird thing. She almost looks like the adult aunt or mom character in like an animated cartoon from like Disney or Pixar, like in Big Hero 6 or something. Like,
Okay.
that's in the show.
Sure.
But it's kind of cool, like, but isn't really like a main character, but um, but I'm not trying to like knock the art. The art actually, like I said, the art's very, very busy, but
Yeah.
it fits the tone and it fits it's not trying too hard to do cool. But yeah, but Babs looks a little too old.
Yeah, which
Like,
might go with, what our our concern, or at least my concern, is of what is her place in
Yeah.
this story and in this trio and everything.
Either that, or we're looking at through the eyes of somebody, of a hero, of a pair of superheroines who are 18 or 19,
Yeah.
and anybody over the age of 25 might as well look like they're 30 or 35. No, it's
Yeah,
no
it's
offense
true.
to 18 or 19-year-olds, but there
Yeah.
is a perception of people who are a certain amount of older than you
Yeah.
that they seem a lot older than, than
Yeah.
actually.
And even how they're treating her, like here with this scene and Steph going to Babs automatically for comfort, and Barbara, checking in with Cass one-on-one, and also
Yeah.
saying, how's your reading going? You should go check that bookstore out. So she's leaning into that, if that's what
Mhm.
we want her to do. And I think the girls see her like that as well.
Yeah, well, that works, because if she does see, if she is there to help them take care of them, if that's the way she knows how to do it, then it works.
Yeah.
The muscled up tech big bad guys there at the beginning,
The
it's kind of
Saints.
funny. It's like
Are you
by
okay
the
with
way,
the info dumping and how Oracle does it? I mean, it kind of seems Oracle-y that she would update
it's
them on who it
yeah,
is, and as well as the readers.
yeah. How many comic books have you and I read where if it's not Oracle doing it, it's just like, here's the caption box.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I don't think it even registered. I've been so used to it over the years. So
were you going to say something? I cut you off.
Those are very big knee pads.
They sure are. Oh man, I do like how, I'm gonna have to find where this is, but where she actually says, oh yeah, so she talks to Cass, and we can tell she's talking to Cass, and says, Batgirl, you can handle pretty much anyone, but these aren't just anyone's. There are 3 of them. And Batgirl, I know you have enough smarts and heart to survive any situation, but this isn't worth the risk. Also, we really need to sort out code names. So yeah, I'm glad that, Barbara, as well as the writers, recognize that having more than one person with the same name will cause problems, kind of like Ashley in the 2000s, or the one year that I taught 3 Abbies in the same class, all with different spellings. But what would you say when you were in school is like the most popular girl's name? Do you remember?
Oh, I grew up in the era of the Jennifer.
Okay. Mine,
There's
I feel
actually,
like were Ashley's. Yeah.
Funny enough, in one of my classes this year, I have 3 Katies, a Caitlin, and a Katja.
Heck.
Yeah.
Are they spelled differently?
One of the Katies has a C.
Okay.
One of the other 2 have a K.
Okay.
Caitlin has a K. Katja has a K. I had this string of Kathys in my senior year of high school. I had a next door neighbor named Catherine, who we never went out, but I had a massive crush on her. I went out with a Kathy for a few weeks. We're still very good friends. High school. We were friends. We tried dating. It ended badly.
Oh dear. Okay.
We're still friends. It's been 25 years.
Oh, that's good. You're still friends. Okay.
Oh yeah. It was a high schory saga.
Okay.
Without getting into details. And then I went out with a Kate, whose name was Catherine, but Kathryn.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a year and a half.
Wow.
That ended really badly.
Oh my gosh.
That was a
well, you'll have to tell me all about it over some covfefe sometime.
Yeah.
I swear, all you got to do, you don't need alcohol to loosen Tom's lips. You just have a podcast.
We probably should have broken up about like, long story short, she was younger than I was. So she was still in high school. I went off to college. I made the mistake of saying, hey, let's stay together. We probably should have broken up maybe 6 months sooner. We ended up having concert tickets. It was just a whole thing.
Oh no. Yeah. Who was concerts? Bruce?
Oh God, it was Hootie and the Blowfish.
Hootie and the Oh, Tom.
In retrospect, when she said, I'll buy the other ticket off of you, I should have said yes, but I said no.
Oh.
because you're going to take the guy you're cheating on me with.
Ooh, Tom.
And so I went to a Hootie and the Blowfish concert with my girlfriend, who was barely talking to me out of spite.
Wow.
We broke up like a week later.
Okay. Did you enjoy the concert?
Fair enough. Hootie and the Blowfish were a pretty good concert. They were a pretty tight band. So
okay. I think we found
worth.
what our intro song is going to be. I don't know. I'll pick one from the Hooties.
Find the Hootie and the Blowfish song?
Yes.
Oh, great.
I'm sure I know good ones. Okay, just continuing on. This might be my favorite.
Yeah, back
page.
to the comic books.
You did that. I did not. I asked you what was the main name of girls at your, and then it turned into that. So don't blame me, sir. Anyways, I really like the art on this for whatever reason, but I'm loving this art. Call it kind of pop rock art. But just the colors and everything. And I just really like that panel where Cass and Steph are using a zip line. What are those
That's
called?
a cool panel.
Yeah,
it matches the tone of the book really well.
Absolutely. I did have a question about why they were using walkie-talkies and not comms, since clearly it didn't work, but it is answered. So I'm glad that a lot of questions I have are answered within the book. So the reason is, well, Seer could probably hack it. So that makes sense. Let's see here. Our Lady of Mercy, the fact that it's the oldest church in the hill, it's condemned, and now it's a straight up hive of scum and villainy. And they apparently who for some reason aren't worried about asbestos, but I feel like it's a callback to that politics in Gotham discussion I did with Sam Heath about the fact that religion doesn't really play a part in Gotham citizens' lives, and it's often potentially a negative connotation or just like no connotation. So of course we have the saints, and then we have this dilapidated church that's used for, whatever this thing is, this gathering here. So that's just very interesting. So the media continues to be, which we have Grace O'Halloran as one of our side characters or minor characters. So the media is still kind of the religion in Gotham citizens' lives. I would agree with you that you called it busy. Like there's a lot going on. Carolyn and I broke it down because you have Seer, you have the Saints, you have whatever these zombified people are, and then you had Tudor. So at least now we see that Tudor and the zombified people are associated with one another, but you still have Seer, and so those two aren't necessarily connected. And then of course the serial killer, which seems to be, it's supposed to be like a joke now, maybe, because I'm super confused why Barbara consistently doesn't listen to Steph when she's saying that guy is a serial killer. She like walks off at one point and says, why doesn't anyone listen to me? And they see a human head. Yeah, see, the grumpy one with the face of 1,000 corpses. It's like nobody ever listens when I talk. And it's true. Barbara's not listening. And then Cass sees the human head, and then they're like, oh, there's a disturbance. So I don't know what that's about. I guess it's now just a running joke, but it's a joke that creates a mischaracterization of some of these people.
Well, Stephanie, I'm so used to everybody blowing Stephanie off anyway from from the minute that she was a character that
makes sense for you. Well, I felt like I would say that's true of that era. I don't know, pre-New 52, but I felt like now with Rebirth that she was given more respect as spoiler because those tales were darker. But I mean, maybe we are getting back to that. You might be right. Perhaps we're just getting back to that characterization.
Either that or this is going to lead into some sort of storyline where she has to take on the serial killer.
Yeah.
Or she's going to try. It's like a breadcrumb they're dropping for a later issue, perhaps.
And I could see at the very end Steph like saying victory. See, I was right all along. And then she like, yeah, we should have listened to you. I will say that Seer is now given a they pronoun, which they were using she consistently, but in this issue they use they. So we're still not sure who this person is. The guess from Carolyn and I, maybe Wendy Harris. Not sure. Babs still thinks they're using the scooters, which is cute, but she's a fool because of course they're using Bondo. And I will say I did love that scene where Cass is just straight up chilling like a villain with those shades on in Bondo, which I find really amusing. And they got Dice and a Batman hanging over there. I don't trust either of those girls driving Well, it's Cass consistently is the one driving. I don't trust her to drive, but there we go. I liked the phone call with Dick, still continuing again, just I think a good relationship. And then Babs mentioning Cass's reading ability is very interesting. So I look forward to seeing what that is. Here's a question. Now I mentioned Lindsay Lohan and Parent Trap. I don't know if you've ever seen that film. I enjoy it.
I'm familiar with the original with Haley Mills.
Okay. I don't know if they had that particular scene. It's been a while since I've seen that one. But what do you think about this ear pierce scene, or just the piercing scene with Cassandra? And then do you like the earrings as an idea for communications?
I like the earrings. There's something very Wonder Woman about it. It seem like very. I think
Sure.
Don actually think Wonder Girl had communicator
She
earrings at
did,
one
yeah.
point. So yeah, it's very. It's a classic. Um, it's with the tone of the. Tonally, it fits very very well.
Yeah.
With the stuff.
I almost wanted an apple to be there. I guess
Yeah.
they use an ice cube and a
Mm-hmm.
needle and
Yeah,
everything.
the ice cube and the needle bit. Yeah.
I've always been told to have an apple in the back, so I guess the needle has somewhere to stab. Did you know what Steph was doing with, I'm gonna have to find this now, this phone sequence? I wonder if
she's taking a selfie.
Okay, but
I want to say
is it sent? Because it says sent.
It says Spellbound Gallery.
Huh. Thank you. I was gonna zoom
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Unless it's supposed to be like, I don't know why I would say sent if she was posting like to Insta or something. But Cass clearly interrupted her taking a selfie.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe they're not supposed to.
I don't think they're supposed to be doing that.
No, the technology, number one, as well as they're supposed to be keeping a low profile.
Yeah, yeah.
So being out online. So that might be why.
Just yeah, and
what's happening? Yeah.
So
okay. I think that's all I have. Of course, now we've got to figure out what's going on with Tudor and who this is. Originally, I thought Tudor was just a street artist, but there's something else going on. And now we've got some politics going on with it. But and of course, Steph is zombified. But any other thoughts on this issue?
The zombified thing looks interesting. It's very classic, like one team member is brainwashed, the other one's got to figure all this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works enough to see like, okay, what are we going to, how are we purifying Gotham?
Politically.
Yeah, well, this is
are you getting the January 6th feel out of this?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. It's also got this sort of like I don't remember if you've ever read or remember, it was a storyline back in like 88, 89 called The Cult.
Oh,
where
yeah.
You had Deacon Blackfire, I think was the guy's name, and he was forming this cult around all these homeless and dispossessed people. I don't know what the state of Gotham City is. I haven't read Batman in about 20 years, so I don't know if Gotham is supposed to be like a complete hellhole at the moment, or if it's got like really nice districts and then really bad kind of things. Because like with the kind of the condemned cathedral, the condemned church makes sense in a sort of Bronx in the 1970s sort of way, you know, where like you had all these kind of condemned, blown out buildings that weren't getting torn down because New York City was like completely out of money and people were actually living in there. And some people were trying to, like, there were neighborhood improvement associations trying to fix them up so people could actually live, like through the 70s and the early 80s and most of the 80s in New York. And I don't know if they're still pulling from that for Gotham City. Because on Batwoman, they're clearly using Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the establishing shots of Batwoman are Chicago. Okay. but they have like, and every city's got its seedy side. It's just that Gotham's always seemed a little bit more rough than others, and
Yeah.
Bloodhaven is even worse. But so I don't know if they're just kind of like, picking up, if he's doing kind of that Deacon Blackfire thing, we're just picking up who he can, and then it's just kind of spreading to whomever is there.
Yeah. The Hill.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to see what's behind this. It would be really interesting. I don't by having an obvious mind control thing. You have a villain, you have a quick story that you can do in the 6 issues. It would have been really interesting to have a Bat family hero face off against a group like this that is not being specifically mind controlled through some sort of power, but they've just been brainwashed via the internet, like QAnon type of stuff. It would be really interesting to see them have to handle something that's been done without some sort of like, tech gadget power, hypnosis type of thing. But I think that would take longer.
Yeah.
Have to build that story for a while for it to really feel natural. And this is an establishing story for a title, so you don't want to do that with this.
Yeah, and it probably would have been Steph too, since she was the one who's down on herself. So how could this guy reach her? I kind of wish that this wouldn't be happening right now. I wish that they would have maybe sowed the seeds a bit more of this tutor. I mean, we saw his art and everything, but all of a sudden we saw the art. There was that Grace was talking about it, and then bam, now we've got this guy, and all of a sudden he's not on the up and up. So I almost wish that there was maybe one more issue of who this is and establishing him before really jumping into this, because we just have so many threats coming out at them in their first arc that could we take our time with some stuff. But the only thing that's a slow burn right now is a serial killer. So
I want to know also though, like I guess we'll get the answers in the next issue or two. I want to know what triggered Steph and not Cass to get like, so what is it? Was she exposed to something earlier and there's a trigger? Because her eyes are all like crazy. She got like crazy red eyes, like, and she all of a sudden she's just kind of looking, and she's looking at the billboard, and Cass is looking there with her. Now Cass is probably wearing some sort of lens that's filtering out whatever it is. So we need to see the man behind the curtain. We need to see how he is doing this.
And they're both, if it's the gas, which I don't know if it's a gas or not, but they're both wearing masks. So
so I would imagine it's something with the eyes, maybe.
I mean, she was on technology, so maybe it's technology based.
I don't know how they're doing it, so it's enough of a mystery for me to be like, okay, I'd like to see how they're doing this.
Absolutely. And we're bolstering our ranks with some side characters. So here we have Mr. Dollawall, and then of course a serial killer neighbor who's a grumpus, and Grace O'Halloran is another side character. And I did forget to mention that Barbara is in a wheelchair in this issue, where we saw before that she was walking and then was using a cane in the previous issue. So the writers did say that she would be in various states of mobility. Okay, out of 10 cup nudes, which is what they ate in issue 1, but I did not see them eat that here. What would you give this issue?
Babs was slicing an onion. That's about as much food as I saw.
There was that slice of the onion.
7.5.
7.5. 7.5 cup nudes. Yeah, I am gonna go lower than I did the previous one, which I think I gave it a 9 or something. I think maybe an 8. 8 out of 10 cup nudes. There's a lot going on. I think it was too quick of a drop for Tudor, and the Barbara characterization, or what her place is on this team, is I'm still a bit baffled with it, and it's not necessarily sitting with me well. So we need to see what that's going to be like. So 8 out of 10 cup nudes. Okay, we're wrapping up. We're almost to Tom's favorite segment. This is the reason why. Almost, he likes the only reason he likes to come on. I do have one anime film to mention. It's called Belle, which just came out 2021, but it just hit theaters 2022. 2 hours and 2 minutes. Suzu is a shy, everyday high school student living in a rural village. For years, she has only been a shadow of herself. But when she enters You, a massive virtual world, she escapes into her online persona as Belle, a gorgeous and globally beloved singer. One day, her concert is interrupted by a monstrous creature chased by vigilantes. As their hunt escalates, Suzu embarks on an emotional and epic quest to uncover the identity of this mysterious beast and to discover her true self in a world where you can be anyone. Ryu to Sobakasu no Hime tells a fantastical, heartfelt story of growing up in the age of social media. So it is based off of Beauty and the Beast. It is a visual delight. I really loved it. It's wow. There's so much to talk about because Tom's on here. I won't gush over it for hours, but I just highly recommend it. I feel like I want to do something with this just to talk about, but there's so many layers of things going on here, and the soundtrack is also beautiful. And I ended up seeing it was at Regal, and so I decided to go to the Japanese with the English subtitles. But I think the English has a great soundtrack too, but I decided to go with the Japanese. So anyways, I highly recommend that. And now we are on to literature recommendations. Tom, your favorite segment. I'm gonna have to
We're
queue up
not
my
doing What Are You Wearing?
no, I did see you were wearing a new nerdy shirt. Would you like to show what you're wearing?
Yes, the greatest American hero.
Oh, thank you for wearing a nerdy shirt.
You are welcome, even though it's kind of obscured by the
That's
by
you've
the
got all the
letter.
nerdy
Yeah,
paraphernalia.
I've got up and down the wall here. I've got
There you
comics
go.
and
And I
movies.
see an at over there too.
Yeah, there's a Lego at there is right in front of it is a Star Destroyer
Oh,
that Brett
open?
and I put together. No, it's closed. It's closed.
Oh, okay.
They're both gray, so it's gray on
Yeah.
gray. It's actually underneath a Return to the Jedi poster.
Okay. I
And
see
then
kind of a
that
circular thing.
those are DVDs, and then up there the dragon,
Yes.
and then that's the Millennium Falcon.
Oh.
There's a Hogwarts Lego set behind it, and then there's some more
Man.
beyond
It's
there.
a nerd cave down there.
It's my child's Legos that have been down
Your
here for a while.
child's Legos.
We put him together when he was little.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, are you set?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can go
Yeah.
anytime. I'll go
Oh,
after
okay.
you
Okay.
so I can
Oh,
pull
all
up
right.
my Goodreads.
Let's see. Something I forgot to mention really quickly, the mac and cheese thing. If I'm going to recommend a comic series, Catwoman Lonely City
Oh,
by Cliff Chang.
yeah.
So good.
Okay. I was thinking just the
So
creative team and I was
good.
thinking to give
Oh
it a
my
shot.
gosh, so good.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. It's only 2 issues so far. But,
Okay. And it's a limited, isn't it?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's a DC Black Label
Oh yeah.
book. All right. So what I got? I have The Lost Family, How DNA Testing is Uncovering Secrets, Reuniting Relatives, and Upending Who We Are. So it's a nonfiction book by Libby Copeland, which is about the boom in kind of consumer genetic testing of like 23andMe and Ancestry and stuff, and the history behind that science, as well as some stories about how people have had their lives kind of upended or have discovered secrets about their family and stuff like that. It's a really interesting read about like the history of that and what goes into it, the concerns about security. And it also gets into like police work and solving crimes and whether or not this is a right to privacy issue and things like that. So that was really, really cool. A separate piece by John Knowles, which you will hear us talk about when is this episode coming out?
Next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in about 3 weeks,
Yeah.
that episode of Required Reading with Tom and Stella will air. The Hour I First Believed by Wally Lamb, which I would not recommend actually. I'm just going through my Goodreads list.
Sure. That's what I'll do.
It was a very long book that had this connection to Columbine High School, and it was very, very forced. I will recommend the Wonder Woman by Phil Jimenez omnibus.
Ooh.
That was huge. That was really, really good. And I have read the first 2 volumes of Starman, the James Robinson run. I have the trades from the 90s. So I don't know how much reprinted that or in print that is lately. But I have The Sins of the Father and Night and Day. So I'm working my way through all those trades, and that's been really, really good. And then most recently, Batman: The Dark Knight Detective Volume 5. It's collecting the very late, very, very late 80s, very, very early 90s Batman Detective Comics issues mainly by Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle. And this is Detective Comics 613, 14, 15, 617, 613 through 15, 617 through 621, and the second annual. So in that you have a couple of really, really good one and dones. The 3-parter that's called the Penguin Affair is the thing of that is not in there. I think it's in another trade because they've been reprinting the Batman comics from that era. But then it has the detective issue that kind of leads into the 2 Batman Return of the Joker issues, 450 and 451. And then it has the 4-parter where Tim Drake's parents are kidnapped, which is right when this trade is exactly when I started reading Batman.
Okay.
Back in 1990. So it was pretty cool. I owned those issues years ago, and I've been collecting this run of trades for a while, and I got this for Christmas from my parents. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, so those are all I've read so far, and I have a huge pile
Of 2 weeks.
Huge pile of books.
Yeah.
To read. I don't even know what I'm going to read next after I finish I'm reading the Bell Jar at the moment, so I don't know. Once I'm done with that, I'll probably pick something lighter.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just
You're saying the bell jar's not light?
No.
I know.
It's a jaunt through Sylvia Plath's brain. She does have a wicked sense of humor. We'll table that for our discussion of her, because we are going to discuss this book in a future required reading.
Yeah,
she is funny in places, which and kind of caustically witty, which I do appreciate.
Like a black humor, I suppose.
Yeah, she has a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah. But... Okay, so I have read "You Can't Touch My Hair" and Other Things I Still Have to Explain by Phoebe Robinson. A hilarious and affecting essay collection about race, gender, and pop culture from celebrated stand-up comedian and WNYC podcaster Phoebe Robinson. As a Black woman in America, she maintains sometimes you need to have a sense of humor to deal with the absurdity you are handed on the daily. Robinson has experienced her fair share over the years. She's been unceremoniously relegated to the role of the Black friend, as if she is somehow the authority in all things racial. She's been questioned about her love of U2 and Billy Joel. She's been called uppity for having an opinion in the workplace. She's been followed around stores by security guards. And yes, people do ask her whether they can touch her hair all the time. Now she's ready to take these topics to the page, and she's going to make you laugh as she's doing it. Passing by Nella Larson, which a film just came out with Tessa Thompson and I can't remember her. Ruth Vega, I think. And so I was reading this. One of my friends, Shy, read it, and then she was gonna wait for me, and then I read it, and then we watched the film together. But it is about Irene Redfield, who is a Black woman living an affluent, comfortable life with her husband and children in the thriving neighborhood of Harlem in the 1920s. And then she reconnects with her childhood friend, Claire Kendry, who is similarly light-skinned, but Claire has been passing for a white woman after severing ties to her past. And then they meet again, and Claire starts to spend more time with them. And then, well, I don't want to spoil what happens with that, but The Smash Up by Allie Benjamin. This was mentioned a year or more ago, I think, by Robert Ward on our show, because it is a modern take on Ethan Frome.
Yes, now it rings a bell.
So it's really contemporary. It deals with Me Too. It deals with the fallout of the 2016 election. It deals with the Supreme Court and all of that stuff that was going on with that one justice that was, he's already sworn in, but remember the
Brett
allegations that were
Kavanaugh.
coming up. Yeah. And so I liked that it was contemporary and was bringing this into it, but a lot of the times was really heavy and heavy handed. And so I wonder if that, for me, like, who can take that stuff, because I'm like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
sure. But then for other people who that could potentially like push them off. And so I couldn't tell, like, are you intentionally being heavy handed? Are you trying to push people away from it? I couldn't tell. But also some of the characters are really unlikable. And it's only like the last quarter that I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling some empathy for you, but it was hard at times. So I gave that a 3. And then
Mhm.
my final one is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I also read a separate piece, but I didn't need to re-mention that. Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. And if you know the tale of Ariadne and Theseus, of course, with the Minotaur, then you know that Theseus abandoned Ariadne after she helped him go to the middle and come back out alive from the labyrinth. And so it follows her. It's all in her perspective. And the Minotaur is like killed in the first 100. So you're like, what's going to happen? And you just find out more about her and what goes on afterwards, because she does have a relationship with Dionysus, or Bacchus takes pity on her. And then also her sister, because her sister ends up marrying Theseus. So that was really good. So in the same vein as Circe or Patroclus, no, what was it called? Was it called Achilles? I guess it was Achilles. Just where they take
Mm.
not necessarily the minor character, but like the side character of an epic hero's story, and shows what their perspective is. So that was really good.
Cersei's on my pile.
Ooh, it's a
I
good
got
one.
that. I got that last year. I heard it was really good. It's
Good one.
it's sitting there waiting.
Somewhere. Yeah.
It is
Okay,
somewhere.
Tom, we're at that point in time where you get to talk about what you're doing and then how we can support you and find you.
Yeah. So you can find me at 2 podcasts over on Two True Freaks. One is Required Reading with Tom and Stella, which is the two of us. In fact, the most recent episode, which is 12th Night, dropped as of recording this yesterday.
Ooh.
So it just dropped Tuesday, January 18th. And next week, actually, right around the time this episode's going to be posted, you will hear Stella on my other show, Pop Culture Affidavit, because we're talking about She's the Man. You can find that also at popcultureaffidavit.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at popaff. That's POPAFF.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. It's been a while. I think the last time I was on here, we were doing Tower of Babel.
Oh,
was that long ago?
Was Tower of Babel before or after our Judas Contract special that we did?
I want to say that was, that's a good question. I'm not sure. It was either that. So it was either the Tower of Babel storyline or it was the Judas Contract special.
Oh, so it has been a while. Oh, yeah, because you were on for all those Justice Leagues.
Yeah, I covered all the Morrison Justice Leagues and then that one Mark Waid story.
You're right. Crazy. Well, I'm glad to have you on. Glad we got to do a Terry Moore.
No, it's fun to be here. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, remember to support Tom, and you can always send any questions or comments to batgirltheoracle@gmail.com. And if you have any questions for Tom, you can send them my way and I can forward. Or do you have an email address?
popcultureaffidavit@gmail.com.
There you go. You can find the show on Google Play and Stitcher, like the show on Facebook, or follow it on Twitter at Batgirl the Oracle. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, of course. You can see our winning faces and our winning personalities. And follow the Batman Universe on Facebook and Twitter as well. Support the Batman Universe by subscribing to Patreon. And once again, thanks for Mile High Comics supporting and sponsoring Batgirl the Oracle, the Barbara Gordon podcast. And until next time, Tom, what is it that we say?
Fly on, Babs lovers.